Hey guys, welcome to the next edition of Night Moves. Today we're going to focus on low back, which really means we're going to focus on hips and hamstrings, basically everything that surrounds and supports the low back. So typically speaking, when people ask me, how do I stretch my low back? How do I do this to kind of make my low back feel better, whatever it is, it's almost always centered around stretching through the hips and the hamstrings. Of course, obviously, we do things to stretch the spine as well, but typically speaking, if your hips are super tight, your hamstrings are super tight, then your low back is gonna feel pretty tight and potentially achy throughout the day, particularly after you come to the gym and do things that require a lot of work coming from the hips, glutes, or low back muscles. So that's what we'll focus on for this episode. It'll probably be relatively short and sweet, something that you can do maybe within 10-15 minutes, kind of pick and choose the things that you feel like are working best in your body to give you the relief that you're looking for. So we're actually going to start in a butterfly position. Just bringing your feet together, setting your knees out wide, and of course, for all of us, this is going to look different, right? Those of us that are a little bit more flexible to begin with might have the feet closer, knees a little bit further down. Those of us that this is a struggle to begin with, you're going to want to take your feet a little bit out in front of you, so it's not quite so intense in that inner thigh and hip area to begin with. But once you have your feet set up in a good spot, you can kind of hold underneath of them and rock your butt bones up to your heels to an appropriate spot. I want you to take your feet and turn the soles of your feet up the best that you can. So almost like you're opening your feet up like a book, and then use your elbows down into your thighs if they get there, and if they don't worry about it, just don't do this part. Kind of push your knees and your thighs down with your elbows and lift your chest up. So we're looking for a more neutral spine to start. I'm really just kind of focusing on that inner thigh and hip area, getting some space here. So as always, whenever we're working with stretches, we do want to take some care with the breath. So typically, again, lips are sealed, we're breathing through our nose, and the idea is to focus on the rate of your breath more than anything else. So slow and easy in and out through your nose is going to keep your central nervous system right where we want it, in that easy space, out of fight, flight, freeze, and just allowing that space to open up within your body. Just a couple more breaths here, really focusing on knees down, chest up. And then you can continue to use your elbows to kind of drive into your thighs, and we're going to start to fold here. But you can see I'm leading with my chest, so I'm not allowing my spine to round just yet. I'm still trying to keep more of a neutral spine. So it's sort of like you're pushing your hips down and back as you're leaning your chest forward toward your feet. So it's not a ton of flexion, it's not a ton of fold, but it is more sensation through the inner thighs, through the hips, and now starting to really stretch into those muscles in the low back. Few more slow, easy breaths. And then here we're going to relax that kind of very active stretch. Lift your chest back up. I want you to let your feet slide a few inches in front of you if they're really close to you. Keep your hands lightly on your feet now. We're going to allow the spine to round. So pull your low belly in, and then start to let your chest fall down and forward, and your arms can just kind of go where they naturally do. Keeping the elbows bent, let your shoulders drop, let your upper back round here, and then start to allow your chin to pull in toward your chest. For some of you, this might be impossible, really, for lack of a better word. Flexion in this particular position with the hips just might not work. So if that is the case for you, you have a couple of options. You can elevate your hips and sit on something like rolling up a blanket or a couple of pillows and then give it a try. Or you can just not fold forward so much and keep yourself more upright and allow yourself to get that space in the hips so that one day you can fold forward. Let your head be nice and heavy, back of the neck super long. decompression through the upper vertebra. Very gently, keep your head heavy. Just gonna use your hands to walk back in, to lift your torso up. Let your head be the last thing that comes up. And when it does, just kind of grab the outsides of your knees and guide them together. And then you can take your arms and wrap them around your shins and let your head rest on your arms for just a second. So there's some support there. Can be rather intense in the hips when you come out of that, so just giving yourself a moment to adjust to being in that neutral position. And then go ahead, lift your torso up. So we're gonna take the left foot underneath the right thigh, so the heel is just coming in toward your right butt bone a little bit. And then we're gonna take the right foot and cross it over the left knee, so we're sitting with the right knee over, foot down, and left knee under. Right palm is gonna come behind your low back and plant into the ground. So your arm, your right arm, is kind of pushing into your spine to keep it nice and tall. You might already be feeling a pretty good stretch in your hips. That's a good thing. If it's impossible for you to keep both of your butt bones down, just extend the left leg forward so both hips are on the ground. And take your left arm up, find that length. And with an exhale, hook your left elbow outside your right thigh and start to turn toward the right. So we don't have to go crazy far. We're not looking for big rotation here, more just space, right? So lengthen up through the crown of your head when you inhale, and then press into your elbow and turn a little bit more with the exhale. Just about 2 more breaths. And then really gently unwind, take a little counter twist to the opposite direction. Come back to center, and then just switch your legs. So if your bottom leg was extended on the first side, it probably will be on this side. You can bend the knee if it keeps both hips on the ground. It's not necessarily better or worse, it's just a little bit different depending on where we are within that hip flexibility. This time with the left knee crossed on top, the left hand is gonna come behind you. Arm stands you up a little bit taller. Inhale up through the right hand, so you're lengthening the whole right side. And then as you exhale, hook the elbow across and twist toward your left. And again, it's not like a crazy amount of rotation, right? Just enough where you're feeling that space start to come in. Lift up as you inhale, and then rotate as you exhale. Just about 2 more breaths. And then really gently release. Take a little counter twist over in the opposite direction. And then come back to center. So we're gonna uncross the legs here, and we're gonna come into a modified lunge. So we'll take the right foot forward first, left knee down behind you. You can use your hands on your right thigh to lift your chest up, and then just make sure that your knee is pretty much right over your heel. It can be a little bit forward, that's okay. We just don't want to push past the toes and lift the heel up. And with your back knee, keeping it down, keep your back toes tucked underneath of you so that foot remains neutral and you've got some support and stability. So right foot's forward, left knee's back, and we're going to take the left arm, reach it up, and once the left arm is overhead, we're going to lean over to the right just a little bit. So what we feel here is all of this length in the left side of the body. It basically starts at the knee, goes up through the quadricep, up through the hip flexor, up through the left side abdominals and the lat, all the way out to the fingertips. So for a lot of us, this is a huge, huge stretch to really open up the side body, open up the hip flexors, and then also get a little bit of space into the low back. Just about 2 more breaths. And then we're going to switch sides. Hands down, take the right knee back, bring the left foot forward. Set your knees up, right? Set your knee right over your heel, back knee down, toes are tucked. Just lift your chest up. Take a second, make sure you're stable. The left foot's forward, so the right arm's gonna reach. And then take it just a little bit over to the left. And again, it doesn't have to be all of the sensation in the world, right? Just enough where you're feeling that length through the whole right side start to open up. Easy breaths. Just about 2 more. And then go ahead and bring your hands back down. We'll keep the left foot forward. Start to sit back onto your right heel so your left leg straightens out. For some of us, this is plenty of sensation in the hamstring. If we need a little bit more, just go ahead and walk the hands forward, soften the elbows, and fold over that left leg. It's important to flex the toes toward your face, get a little bit of length in the calf. About 3 more breaths here before we switch sides. And then just really gently, because it's a lot of extension for the knee, bend into your left knee. However it's convenient for you to switch your feet. Maybe just lift the back knee, step back, and switch right foot forward, left knee down, and then we're just gonna sit all the way back onto the left heel, straighten the right leg, and flex your toes toward your face. Lean your chest forward and start to fold over the right leg. You'll really feel a lot of space in that hamstring. We get a stretch behind the knee all the way through the calf, particularly when you flex your toes and press your heel forward. Just about 3 more breaths. And then again, that's kind of a long time to keep that knee in extension, so just slowly bend into your right knee. Go ahead, step your right foot back, bring your knees wide, toes together, sit back onto your heels for a real easy child's pose. Just letting your forehead rest on your hands, relax your hips back, and take a few slow breaths into your lower back, just to neutralize everything since we spent some time on single-sided stuff. And after a few breaths in child's pose, you can lift up, kind of shake out your legs, shake out your hips, but you're pretty much good to go. Just a really short, simple, sweet one to get into all sides of the hips, hamstrings, help relieve a little bit of discomfort in the low back, particularly after maybe heavy squats, deadlifts, swings, things like that, or even just lighter stuff. If you feel a lot of tension within those areas, these are just very simple, concise, easy stretches to hit that'll create a little bit of space and take care of some of that discomfort.